Today we celebrate the feast of Christ the King, and we say his throne was the cross, his crown was a wreath of thorns, his royal purple garment was his own blood. His glory is visible only through the eyes of faith. Like Blessed John Henry Newman kind of explains the kingship of Christ. He says, "Such is the rule of our warfare. We advance by yielding, we rise by falling, we conquer by suffering, we persuade by silence, we become rich through generosity, we inherit the earth through meekness, we gain comfort through mourning, we earn glory through penitence and prayer. Heaven and earth will sooner fall than that this rule be reversed. It is the law of Christ's kingdom, and nothing can reverse it but sin." One example of that kingship we see in the life of Father Miguel Pro. He lived under the Mexican persecution in the 1920s. And as a young boy, he always loved practical jokes, and he had a natural talent as an actor, which served him well when he had to avoid the police being captured. He would dress up as a Mexican police official, and he would appear at a Mexican jail dressed as that police official, saying that he needed to interrogate one of the prisoners, and he would bring communion to that prisoner. He also, once he was saying Mass in a home, but someone reported him, and just before the police arrived, he escaped, and he went to the house next door, and he dressed as a Mexican police officer, and he returned to that house and yelled at the other Mexican police officers that they better catch that priest, and he left smoking a cigar. When he was captured, he was ultimately executed on trumped-up charges of bombing and attempted assassination. And as he was being led to the firing squad, one of those who had captured him, one of the police officers, pleaded for forgiveness, pleaded for mercy for having been involved in his capture. And Father Miguel Pro said, "You have not only my forgiveness, but my gratitude. You have my thanks." And just before the order to fire was given, he uttered that glorious prayer, "Viva Cristo Rey," long live Christ the King. Then 5 uplifted rifles, a sharp explosion, and an ascending puff of white smoke, and Blessed Miguel Pro fell. His last words were, "May God have mercy on you, may God bless you," echoing the words of Christ the King on the cross, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." The Mexican president, Calles, had sent photographers to the execution because the Mexican president wanted to record the humiliation of a man desperately pleading for his life. Well, Calles had calculated badly. Father Pro walked calmly to his place of death and asked to be allowed to pray. And so those pictures actually spread throughout the world, but they became outlawed in Mexico. Father Miguel Pro gave Mexico and the world an example of what it means to follow Christ the King against the princes of this world, the powers, the principalities of this world, the powers that exist. And like we say, Jesus Christ was a king for others. Sometimes political power is wielded for one's own self, but Jesus Christ was a king for others. And so it was also with Saint Elizabeth of Hungary. She inherited the position of Queen of Hungary, but by her life, she elected a life of penance and asceticism. She refused to wear her jeweled crown when the Lord wore one of thorns, she said. She spent time visiting the poor and the sick. She was accused of squandering the royal purse on the vagrants of the land. When she would enter before the Blessed Sacrament, she would prostrate herself. And her mother-in-law told her to get up, you look like a tired old mule. But again, St. Elizabeth of Hungary was a queen for others. Okay? And we say to celebrate the kingship of Christ is to enter into that reign. In the kingdom of God, humility is power. Like they say, there's that English ballad, "The World Turned Upside Down," going back to the 17th century. The world turned upside down. And tradition has it then when General Cornwallis surrendered to General Washington at Yorktown, the British troops played that tune, "The World Turned Upside Down." The ragtag bunch of American colonial soldiers had defeated the greatest military power in the world. It's the world turned upside down. And as Blessed John Henry Newman says, such is the rule of our warfare. We advance by yielding, we rise by falling, we conquer by suffering, we persuade by silence, we become rich through generosity, we inherit the earth through meekness, we gain comfort through mourning, we earn glory through penitence and prayer. Heaven and earth will sooner pass away than these words will pass away. So to celebrate the feast of Christ the King is to enter into that warfare.